Okay, so you can see the questions in front of you, complete them on scrap paper or wherever you like, and let's go over the correct answers when we do pause and play. Okay, first one, 7 times -1 minus 5. That's -26 because 7 times -3 is -21. Minus 5 more is -26. And 7 times 3 is 21, minus 5 is 16. The point I'm trying to emphasize here is dealing with negative numbers. And if you just put in the first line there where it says -3, if you just put 7 parentheses -3 minus 5 into your graphing or scientific calculator, it will give you -26. It's extremely important. I'm trying very hard to emphasize with you so that you don't pull a Kevin Friend to put negative numbers in parentheses. Okay, next one. 7 times, put the -9 in parentheses, minus 5 is 7 times -9 is -63, minus 5 more is -68. And then when we're dealing with positive numbers, parentheses are not critical. You could just type in 7 times 9 minus 5. And if you do that, you get 58. So to summarize the importance of parentheses with negative numbers, there are times in a graphing calculator or in a scientific calculator that if you don't put parentheses in there, there will be no issues if you put a negative number times a positive number and so on. It's particularly when you deal with exponents that there are issues. So just as a matter of course, I always recommend to all students to always put negative numbers in parentheses. And that way, you'll never have to say, should I put negative numbers in parentheses now or do I not have to? Do it and you never have to worry about that problem ever, ever, ever. Okay, write a word phrase for each of the following. Again, you already did the whole sheet, so I'm just giving you all the answers at once. There's lots of answers to this, but I'll give you some sample answers. The quotient of a number and 3, you could have wrote n divided by 3. Those all work. Next, 5 less than 3 times a number. Remember, less than, last shall be first, first shall be last. So what was first, 3a, goes at the end, 3 times a number. And what was last, 5, goes first. The last shall be first, that's the 5. And the first shall be last, that's the 3a. 5 less than 3 times a number. You could also say 3 times a number minus 5, anything like that. The last one is 7 times h squared, or the product of 7 and h squared, or just 7 times h squared, etc. Evaluate the expression for a equals 5, b equals -7, and c equals 1. 5b squared minus 2bc. That would be 5 times -7 squared. Notice the parentheses around the -7. Minus 2 times -7. And just for the heck of it, I put parentheses around the 1. Type that into the calculator. It'll kick you out 259. But remember, by the order of operations, we have to do the exponent first. That's -7 squared is 49. And then minus 2 times -7 times 1. I'll do the multiplication there. That's 5 times 49 is 245. -2 times -7 times 1 is 14. Adding them up, I get 259. And then for number 4, for which value of s is the expression? What does expression mean again? All right, that's when you combine operations and variables and numbers. For which is it greatest? And the answer is 1. If you do 1, you get the result of the expression. The value of the expression is 7. If you do 2, the value is 5. If you do 3, the value is 5. And if you do 4, the value is 5.5. So the correct answer to this is choice 1. The overall value is 7. Okay. So I know this is a little bit blurry here, but I think you can see it. I only want you to do the odds here. Only want you to do the odds. So do the odds on this sheet, and then I'll go over some algebraic phrases for you. Remember, pause, start, stop, all that stuff. Okay, so number 1 is 53 minus 3/5 r. 53 minus 3/5 r. Number 3, the sum of a number d and 54. The sum of the number d and 54, so you got to add them up, divided by 16. There's the d plus 94, I'm sorry, not 54, d plus 94, and then divide by 16. Again, I know it's a little bit fuzzy, but these are some nice questions, kicking it up a level in terms of difficulty. The product of a number f and itself, product means multiply, so that would be the number f and itself is f times f, and we represent that as f squared. The sum of a number g and itself, the sum of a number g and itself. Well, the sum means add, so you're going to get g plus g, but g plus g is better known as 2g. And we'll talk a lot more about combining like terms in future chapters. If you wrote g plus g, that's good by me. All right, number 9, the square root of the difference of a number h and 94. Difference means subtract. The number is h minus 94, and then the square root symbol. So the square root of h minus 94. Next one up, the square root of the product of a number j and itself. So the square root of the product of a number j and itself, that's j times j, which is j squared. The square root of j squared is one way to write it, or it does work out to be just j. Okay. The sum of a number v and 55 to the power of 4. So you've got to add v and 55 and raise it to the 4th power. Next one, half the square root of a number n, m. So you got to put 1/2 on the outside and then do the square root of m. You could also write the square root of m over 2. That's the same thing as 1/2 the square root of m. Number 17, the sum of 1/6 the number n and 5. So I got to do the number 1/6 times n, because of the word of, or I could do n over 6, it's the same thing, plus 5. Okay, this one does 1/6 n plus 5. And number 19, the square of the quotient of a number p and 6. So I got to do p divided by 6 first and then square that. There you go, so p over 6 squared. All right, so there's the answers to that page for you. Next up, translating some phrases. All right, we're kicking it up in difficulty. I would like you to do numbers 1 and 2. We'll go over those. Then we'll do 3, 4, 5. We'll go over those. And then finally, we'll finish the rest of the sheet. So do numbers 1 and 2, and then resume the video. Okay, number 1, p minus q plus r. It says p is decreased by the total of q and r. So I got to do the total of q and r. Okay, the total of q and r means I got to add up q plus r, and then I have to do p minus that. Okay, number 2 says 3 less than the sum of x and y. So the first thing I have to do is the sum of x and y, and I use parentheses to mark that sum. And then 3 less than that, remember less than, last shall be first, first shall be last. So the 3 was first, it's got to be last, minus 3. Okay, now do 3, 4, 5, and start the video up again. Okay, c added to the square of b. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, b squared plus c. The sum of m and n, sum means add, m plus n. And then twice p minus q. Twice p minus q is 2p minus q. Okay, let's do numbers 6 through 10. This said subtract the product of x and y from 58. And I'd like to focus on that word from for just a minute. If you were flying from New York to Los Angeles, where would you start? New York. But if I said I'm flying from to New York from Los Angeles, where would you start? Start in Los Angeles. In my case, I'm not going to LA. I have no interest in going to LA. But I do have a lot of interest in going back to Labrador and catching Atlantic salmon. So if I'm going from New York to Labrador, that would mean I'm going to start from New York to Labrador. I will be starting in New York. So basically, wherever you're going from goes first. And it's the same in math. From goes first. So if I'm going to subtract the product of x and y, okay, if I'm going to subtract the product of x and y from 58, the 58 has to go first. 58 minus x times y. Okay. The ratio of v to w. Ratio is one of those rarely used ways of saying divide. So v over w. 5 times g reduced by the square of h. So you're starting with 5 times g, 5g. And then you're subtracting the square of h, which is h squared. The product means multiply, p, q, and r. So I just, no symbols, multiplying, no symbol means multiply, p, q, r. And then 6 is subtracted from the sum of x and 2 times y. So I do the sum of x plus and 2 times y. That's right there, the sum, that's parentheses for that. X and 2 times y, and then 6 is subtracted from that sum. So that sum has to go first, then subtract your 6. Remember, from goes first. All right, that is the last of chapter 1.